In this chess video, we are going to look for the top 10 chess tactics that each and every player must understand, and for sure you will take the game to the next level if you watch this video till end. So the very first tactic is applying forks. Applying fork is a very important and useful tactic that you can apply in your game. For example, in this position, you can see that you can play rook to c6, creating a double attack. And this is what we call a fork. This is how you can fork with the rook. This is how you can fork with the knight. This is how you can fork with the pawn, creating a double attack to both the knights. This is how you can create a fork by the bishop, creating a double attack on the rooks. This is how you can create the fork by the queen, attacking the rook and the knight at the same time. Well, now let's look on another kind of chess tactic, that is the pin. So pin means it is a kind of tactic that you can use to restrict one or more of your opponent pieces. For example, in this position you can play queen to g6, pinning the bishop. Now you can see that this bishop cannot move in any of the available diagonals, because you can see that there is the king on the other side, and if the bishop will go to any of the available diagonal, then it will be a illegal. Look, there are two kinds of pins: absolute pin and relative pin. So this position you can see that this is the absolute pin. Why it is the absolute pin? Because you can see that this bishop cannot move anywhere, otherwise it will be illegal. So at last you can win the bishop, and this absolute pin is very useful. Well, now let's look on another type of pin, was relative pin. In this position, we play bishop to g5. Now we all say that bishop pins the knight, and that's absolutely correct. But this is not an absolute pin, because black's knight has a right to move. But if black knight move anywhere, then at last it will be losing the queen. So this is the relative pin, where you can see that black's knight is not forced to be there. There's no illegal in moving the knight. Okay, so another chess tactic is the discovered attack. And discovered attacks mainly means when we move any of our pieces and the another piece creates the attack on opponent pieces. For example, in this position, we play bishop cross g6, where you can see that this bishop is attacking the rook. Now you can also see that our rook at the d file is attacking the knight at the same time. So you can say that we created a double attack on the opponent's pieces. Okay, now let's take this position as an example. In this position, as we all discussed about the discovered attack is when we use our piece to move and uncover any attack by another piece. For example, in this position, what is the main easy threat that you can do? Well, so the very easy threat is playing rook to e4, giving a check. Now you can see that this rook is not giving a check, but you can see that the bishop behind the rook, that was behind the rook, is giving the check. And at last, using this tactic, white wins the queen also. So you can see that applying discovered check is a very nice tactic. Okay, now let's take another example of a double check. For example, in this position, what do you think that we must play? So we can play knight to f5, giving a check. Now you can see that knight is only giving the check in this position, right? But in this position, there is a queen also which is giving a check at the same time. So this means that knight and queen are giving the check at the same time. And this test, it is a double check. And double check is a very important chess tactic that each and every player must know. Alright, now we are going to look for the another chess tactic, and that is the windmill. So in windmill, what we do is we start giving repeated checks to your opponent, leading in advantage. For example, in this position, what we are playing is we play bishop to f6, creating a attack towards the g7 pawn, and the rook and the bishop both are attacking the same pawn. But what black see is Black seat a free queen, which we left behind. So black become greedy and captures our free queen. And if black captures, then black is gone. Now guess why? Because we can take the pawn with the rook giving a check. And by this way, we are going to give repeated checks, gaining material as well. In this position, there is only one option for the king, and that is king to exit, where we capture the pawn, giving a check. So king has to go to g8, where we capture the. First of all, we give the check. Once again, king goes to exit, and by this way, we give a repeated check and gain material. And at last, we capture the queen also. Now you can see that you got a massive 4 point advantage. So you can see that windmill is also a great tactic. Right, so the next tactic is deflection, and deflection means when we use some of our pieces for deflecting your opponent's position to lose important squares. For example, in this position, we are going to sacrifice the bishop, where you can see that if king goes safely to the square highlighted, then black will capture the rook. So it's important that white can capture the bishop, and you can see that by this deflection method, you can see that white lost the important square, and that was the rook at the c1. So at last, black wins the rook. We are going to look for another chess tactic, and that is known as the axle attack. So axle attack is very simple to learn. In axle attack, what we do is that we indirectly attack the opponent piece. For example, in this position, what you can see that we can checkmate in just one move, but there's the knight which is accepting us to do it. So what we can do is we can capture the bishop from the knight, where it is a forcing move also because you have captured the bishop. And what you can see in this position that this knight cannot capture this, because let us say if it captures, then there's a checkmate. So of course black is not going to capture it, and also you win a minor piece. So you can see that axle attack is also a very nice tactic. Alright, let's look on another example of axle attack. In this position, here we are going to sacrifice the queen by this. We play queen to e8 giving a check. Now you can see once again it is a forcing move, which means that if rook captures the queen, it is a forcing move, and you capture the rook, creating a checkmate. So you can see that you can use your pieces in creating such checks, leading to checkmates as well. Alright, now let's look on another chess tactic, and that is the Zugzwang. Now, Zugzwang is a German word meaning that it is now your move and all your moves are bad. For example, in this position, you can see that it's white turn and white have already pinned the bishop. So what you can do, you can play a waiting move, and that is rook to f8. Means now it is black's turn and there is no option for skipping the move in chess, and there's only one way, and that is king to a8. And once it go, there's a checkmate. So this is check swang. Right, now let's look on another tactic, and that is the undermining tactic. So undermining tactic, what is the main motive? The main motive is that we capture the important defender in the game and can deliver the checkmate, or we can gain the advantage. For example, in this position, you can see that there is a checkmate in just one move. But there's the problem that this knight is the main defender in the game. So we must remove this knight from this game. And what we can do is we can sacrifice the rook, where it is giving a check and black king cannot go anywhere. So black king is forced to take the rook. So here rook takes the rook and we deliver the checkmate. This is the undermining tactic. So here we are going to look for the ninth chess tactic, and that is sacrificing the pieces. For example, in this position, you can see that we are leaving the queen hanging. Why? Because we are going to sacrifice our queen. Here we play knight to e8 giving a check. So black captures it and at last black loses the game. So you can understand that sacrifice is also very important tactic. And what does sacrifice mean? Sacrifice is a very important thing. In sacrifice, what we do is we give up any of the important piece, highly important piece, in order to win the game or to gain any advantage. For example, as I've shown you. Well, now we are going to look at the last chess tactic, and that is the checkmate. So there are three kind of checkmate: support mate, smarter mate, and back rank mate. For example, in this position, we are going to checkmate our opponent by the support of knight that you can see. So in support mate, you can see that we deliver the mate with the support of knight or any of the piece. Alright, here's the another example of smarter mate. Now in smarter mate, what happens? We deliver the checkmate by the knight in a classical variation by sacrificing the queen. For example, in this position, we are going to play knight to f7, kill a check, where king has only option to go to g8. And here we play knight to h6, giving a double check. So what is going to happen? King goes to h8, then comes brilliant queen sacrifice, where rook accepts it, and then comes the checkmate by the knight. So you can see that you trapped your king in the corner around his own army and you deliver the checkmate. So here we look towards the third type of checkmate, and that is back rank mate. Now back rank mate, what happens in this? In this, what we do that we can see that these three pawns are uh, keeping the enemy king safe. So we can attack towards the king by this. What we do, we sacrifice the queen and at last we deliver the mate